Alright, so today we are going to go over some new blocks that we are going to need for our end of year project. I am going to show these on the screen. First off, let me go over the objectives. The objectives is number one, create library of blocks using not, and or. So instead of just taking tests and quizzes over and or, we're actually going to use and or now. And not is something that has not been, or that I haven't shown before, but it really just works as a negative sign. So it's just the opposite of what it should do. Right? You'll get a hang of it the more you use it. It's really not that difficult. Number two, we're going to create a block that can isolate that can isolate the greatest value of three numbers. All right. So first portion of this is going to be very repetitive, meaning I'm just going to ask you to make these blocks and save them because you're going to use them later on. Let's go ahead and just get started right away. Not. I'm going to search most of these up. Not false. If you can give me a guess of what this is going to report, it would report true, right? Because not false is true. Go to equals. Again, these are all just tools that you're going to use later on. Let's put 22 and let's put 78. 100. If you know, this will end up being 100, but this will come out as true. Negative 37 and 34. And this will end up coming out as false. Let's put 2.17. 7. And this will end up coming out as false as well. The next thing you're going to use, or that I have covered over, that I have gone over in class, but not used so, that I have not used so much in the actual snap coding, is and or. All right, so let's just go ahead and try that out. I'm going to go to my true and false. You can see you just click on it and it'll turn to false. If you can predict, this will report false because we're using an and as you know, and needs both sides of the statement to be true in order for the whole thing to be true. And we're just going to go down the line here. But if I go to not, I'll put this in here first, and I say not false, what do you think is going to report? In this case, if it's not false, it's true, so therefore it'll come out as true. For or, we're going to say true or false. And I click on here to make it false. Check it, and it'll come out as true because or just needs one side of the argument to be true in order for the whole thing to be true. And we're going to do the same thing with that we did with and. except that now we're going to use true or, well, not true. So not false. Again, what would you predict would happen? It's going to show true. Same thing, same explanation. It's because only one side of the argument needs to be true in order for both sides to be true. Go ahead and save these. Just use them. Have them in your toolbox. You're not required to... Okay, yes, you will be tested over these. But at the end of the day, if you have them saved in your library, you can just go back to this project and come back and use them whenever you see fit. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start a new one. Save this as Max. So if you go to, well, first off, obviously be logged in. Go to Save As, and you're going to save it as Max. Alright. I'm going to get rid of all of these now. So the next thing you're going to create is are blocks that will give you the max value of any number that is input. So I'm going to go into operators, and this is basically the palette, right, that I'm going to save all these new blocks under. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go to the plus sign, make it a reporter. So far I'm going to make I'm going to make 2 reporter blocks, and then I'm going to make 2 commands. And out of the 4 total reporter and blocks, I'm going to have you check which one does not work, because one of them is not going to work completely 100%, which is going to allow you to see the difference between what the reporter does and what the blocks do. So first off, I'm going to operators, reporter. Again, I'm under the green tab, operators. I'm going to press OK, and I'm going to name this one Max1. Why Max1? Just because that's the name I gave the version of the first block that we're going to create. So Max1. So this is purely aesthetic. You don't need to do this. This is just so that it looks nice. I'm going to put of. But I'm going to click on title text. And I want you to get used to this because, again, it's a way of organizing your code. It's a way of making it more simple for other people to see. Is it necessary 100%? It really isn't. But again, it's good practice. So I'll press OK, and you see max of, and I'm going to go ahead and put X, because that's going to be a variable that represents a value that we're going to input. Press OK. Again, purely for aesthetics, I'm going to put a comma, but under title text, press OK, and then Y. Alright, so now we have something like this. And this is going to say that if Where's if let's go with if else here. If X is greater than Y, we are going to report X, otherwise we're going to report Y. Press OK, and then at the very bottom I have this block, this reporter block, that if I input a number, let's say -3 and 5, it'll report 5. Why? Because that's the max value of the two numbers. I'm going to try it the other way around. And it still seems to work, right? I'm going to go ahead and do a couple more. I'm not going to talk too much about them because I want you to be able to answer the question on your own terms and be able to give me an explanation of why one of these blocks does not work. So from now on, I'm going to sort of stay silent and just keep on making the other 3 blocks. I'm just going to move this one up here. And maybe this one works the same. I'm not sure. I don't want to give you the answer, obviously. You guys can check for yourself if it actually gives you... Sorry, I messed up right there. You saw it gave me a 0. Not before. I need to put these in here. Okay. If it actually gives me the higher number. Right? I'm going to do the exact same thing, except that I'm not using reporter blocks now. I'm going to use command blocks now. Nope. I'm going to delete this because I messed up. As you can see there, I put the comma as a variable and it's not a, sorry, as a parameter, not a variable. As a parameter and it's not a parameter, so I went ahead and corrected that. So you have max3 of x, comma, y. And now instead of reporting, we're going to say. X for 2 seconds, and Y for 2 seconds. So, okay, I'm going to my operators. Now I have this command, and I'm going to make one more that mirrors the second reporter block that we made. And now what you're going to do is create the fourth one, max4. Again, this one is a command of X. And it's going to be just like the last reporter, or the reporter of max2, which just uses an if statement. So I accidentally closed it, but let me open it up. Operators, and I go to greater than. If X is greater than Y, now we're going to continue with saying X for 2 seconds. Otherwise, saying Y for 2 seconds. Yeah, I knew something was off. That's okay. Now you're gonna check all of them, see which one doesn't work. There's gonna be one of them that works, but doesn't work exactly as it should, and it's going to very quickly define what the difference between report and commands are. It's going to be one of the questions on your forms, so make sure that you do grasp your mind around that, and that you're able to answer that question in complete sentences using sentence starters. Your assignment for today is going to be to create one of these. So I have this project that I already made. I already worked on this one. And this one, what it does, it actually gives you the max value of three different values. So for example, if I put -3, -4, and 120, I can get 120. If I put 300 here, it'll give me the 300. If I put 1,000 here, it'll give me the 1,000. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a hint. You will be using if else. You will be using and I believe that's it. Yeah. You will be using a total of, there's a bunch of ways to do this, but as far as the way I found that was the easiest, it uses 3 reporter blocks. So if you go here, if you go to the reporter, now do you need to make it a reporter or a command? I would make it a reporter just because, well, I don't want to give too much away. I would just make it a reporter. Later on I can explain why. But yeah, you are going to use 3 reporter blocks. 1 if else and 1 if. Okay, so let me just put it out there so that way you can see. You're using these 3 together. You can use an if else, an if, and an and. Right? Yes, you're going to have embedded if statements, meaning that you're going to have an if inside of an if or else. I don't know. I'm not going to give you that many hints, but you will be using those. And really, it's just a combination of max. Again, I don't want to say too much, but it's combination of max 1 and max 2. Again, because we're using reporters and not commands, it's a combination of max 1 and max 2. You should already have an idea because of the and. If you really start to like put it on paper and start thinking, well, if number 1 is greater than number 2 and is greater than number 3. Alright, I think I've said too much, but I think you should be able to figure it out with that. Make sure this is done by Friday. I am not going to give the credit I gave in the first quarter, meaning that you would get full hundreds even after the first week. I am going to max out the grade at a 70 after the first week. If you do not come to tutoring, if you don't ask for help, things like that, well, then the max you're going to get is a 70. But if you do come to tutoring and you do ask for help, all that stuff, then yeah, by all means you can get 100 on it, even if you mess up right now. All right, make sure you turn this in. I will be checking to see who is turning it in and at what time you're turning it in. That's it for today. Make sure that you get this done, right? Again, a reporter block that reports the max number of anything you type in. I'm just giving examples now. All right. You guys have a good day.